Well, welcome again to another one of my podcasts. And in this podcast, I want to talk to you about something completely different than what I usually do. And I want to talk to you about what we're hearing uh, so many times now about, the Great Reset, they call it. And it's happening all over the world. Well, today I just got my screenshot here of my wallpaper that came up. And I can't do a audio podcast today because I've got too many visuals. But anyway, this is a very large sundial, and all these steps that you see in here are minutes, seconds, hours, and as the shadow is cast, as the sun comes around and rises and sets, it measures the time, and it's pretty accurate. And the whole point being that this time of the year, we have as much daylight as we have nighttime, or vice versa. But as we go into the warmer months above the equator, we our days get longer, and the nights get shorter, and uh, vice versa happens below the equator, and then as we tip the other way, it changes. So we're in a constantly changing world. That's kind of the thought that I had today. Nothing stays the same. And that's the point I want to get across today. So I'm going to share a few things. And as we look at some of these screenshots that I have here, it talks about the timeline of the Great Reset. Okay. This agenda was actually started quite a while ago. Really, everything goes back to about 2014, maybe even before that. But there was a summit. And what I'd like to do is I've got some of these little short clips. I want you to listen to some of these. Now, this one here was from 2014. I'm just going to play a little bit of it because I want you to hear what he says. And I kind of set the dial right to where he speaks. So listen to this.
What we want to do in Davos this year in this respect is to push the reset button.
Okay, that's what I wanted you to hear. He wants us to push the reset button. Everything that's happening in the world has been planned. It's been planned for a long time now. And as we move along the timeline, we come to this event. And this was, the pandemic that came in. And yes, it was a tragedy. There was some deaths, but it was blown all out of proportion. And it was a way of controlling everybody and pushing towards this great reset. And what they're trying to do is they created a problem, uh, and then they had to solve it. And how they're going to solve it is still coming. It's not yet here. And that's the great reset. And what they want to do is they want to control the whole world for for another virus that might be coming, and I believe it might even be coming. Uh, the world is right back to where it was in the Bible when we built the Tower of Babel. Why did God dispense to people all over the world, change the languages, and make it so much more confusing? Well, the reason it is because when man got together, they decided that they could reach God by their own means. It was really the first form of religion. And that's all religion is all religions are trying to reach God in different ways. Even humanism, which I consider a religion, is that way, that man can do it on his own. We're capable of doing it. And the truth of the matter is, God keeps telling us over and over again that man is not capable. There's no one righteous, no, not one. And there's no one that seeks after God. And well, you say, well, that's not a very true statement because everybody's seeking after God. Everybody's seeking after a God, not the true God of the Bible. And that's the difference between true Christianity and the world. The world has all its own religions, and it's been trying to do that for years. So this great reset is all part of the plan of man, not of God. So we move on, and we find that later on there's a group, the World Economical Forum, WEF, and it keeps repeating its message. Listen to this. Well, you have to read it. As the technology changes, it's changing. All this talk about climate change. All the pollution. All the prices of carbon. I'm going to stop it right here. That's actually what that goes through. It tells you all the achievements of man and what man wants to do and how he wants to change it. But God is nowhere in the picture. Nowhere in the picture. 2018, 2019, the World Economical Forum at Johns Hopkins University. And I've got another little clip here. It's called a CLADX. And they got together, and just a short page here, and they decided how we're going to do all this. And it was all part of the plan to change the planet and the way we live. And it all sounds good, but it's all working towards a one world order, and it's also moving towards a one world currency. It all has to do with economics. Why do you think we're letting all the illegal migrants into the country now? Why do you think that's happening? Do you think God doesn't see what's going on? Yes, he does. And he's allowing it. And the reason he's allowing it is because we're heading towards what the Bible calls Jacob's trouble. And it's a 7-year period. It's called a tribulation. And the whole world is going to go through this thing. But it's all dealing with one nation, really. And that's why, if you want to understand what's going on, we're told, watch Israel and watch what God is doing in Israel. And they're keying up right now for a person to come on the scene that will solve all the world problems, bring peace, and we know that it is the false Christ, the Antichrist. And this is going to happen very, very soon. There's a lot of debates among Christians about what's going to happen before this comes about. But I believe that the Bible does teach what we call a rapture, even though the word rapture is not in the Bible. It's the great catching away found in 1 Thessalonians. And it speaks of an event that's going to happen, and I believe it's going to happen very, very shortly. We are so close to the second coming of the Lord. And you got to remember, he came the first time as a lamb. but he's coming as a lion. Now, moving on a little bit more with this global thing that's going on right here. And it's not over yet. I mean, it's still continuing on. Now, let's see what this clip says. I don't even know. I haven't watched it. Okay, they're talking about the virus coming on the scene. And what they're doing is they're programming people, and these are the elite. They have gotten together, and this has been planned for a long time.
These epidemic events are getting more and more disruptive to health and to economy. And the reason we called it Event 201 is we knew eventually one of these days, one of those events would be the big one. And that big one would really challenge our capacity to respond. And to respond to the big one, we do need to have all hands on deck.
You hear what he's saying, don't you? They created a problem, and now they're saying that, well, we can solve it.
Participants are confronted by a hypothetical scenario that presents to them the challenges of a response. So we will say, here's a hypothetical disease outbreak. This is the way it might be evolving. And these are some of the challenges that you'll see that you'll have to address to address the disruptions that you're seeing to your healthcare system or to your organization.
This was a scenario that went through before this all happened. So they knew that this was coming because it was all planned. People don't see it, but it's true.
All stakeholders realize pretty quickly just how underprepared we are and just how much is possible when we work together. And that the individual actions of any government or company won't add up to a proper global response. I think if we're honest with ourselves, collectively, the international community has never done enough to respond to global health security challenges. That we knew before COVID that the world was underprepared for biological risk.
Okay, I'm stopping it right there. Yes, this was all planned. I mean, even before the virus came, and I believe it was all man-made. And I think if I dug deeper, I could give you the facts on it. But there are a lot of people that have dug deep already. I'm going to have a little drink of coffee here, man, clear my throat. Yes, the world is changing. There's no doubt about it. And as we move further and further, and especially with this pandemic exercise that they did in segment 4, they call it, it actually, this was a scenario. And if you go back even to the Obama administration, you'll find out that all the problems we have was our own creation. You know, we had a supply of medical supplies and all this to handle something that would come along. But when the Obama administration was in office, all those supplies were depleted. And this is a proven fact. You can go out and check the facts on this one. And by doing that, when a crisis did come, which it did, and I believe it was created, and that book that Obama liked so much about radicalism and stuff by Saul Lewinsky, it speaks in there, don't let when we have a problem, don't let it go to waste. Capitalize on it. And that's actually what they did. They capitalized on it. And now everybody's running around wearing masks. And I got to be honest with you, I'm 82 years old. And I don't wear a mask. I'm not afraid of the virus. I'm probably more apt to get the flu than the virus. And even the virus, I got it. I was tested positive. And I survived it, and I'm an old man. And now they say that even little toddlers have to wear masks and stuff. This is ridiculous. They're telling us the dangers and what we got to do, but yet they're letting people flood the country. And a lot of these people that are coming across into this country illegal have the virus. We got to start using our heads and putting two and two together. This is totally ridiculous what the world is trying to tell us. That this thing is that dangerous. It's not that dangerous. Yes, there are going to be people that die, but I could die of a heart attack. Does that mean I got to stay home and I can't do anything? That's ridiculous. Totally ridiculous. So this World Economical Forum, and there's a lot of people that have a lot of stuff out there. Now it's time for the Great Reset. That's what they're telling us. Are you ready for this Great Reset? Well, I'm going to tell you something. It's coming, but it's not what you think it is. It's not to say, well, we're going to make the world better, and we're going to stop using fossil fuels and stuff like that. That's not the purpose of what God wants. God wants us to live our lives and trust Him, and not trust in all these organizations that think they're so smart and that they have all the answers. They don't realize it, but we're living in the enemy's territory, and the enemy is Satan. And Satan has blinded the eyes and has put all these thoughts in man's head that they can make things better in a way that is not what God wanted with us to do. And not only that, is God's going to allow this because of all the sins and the wickedness in the world. And you don't realize it. My son and myself talk about it a lot. What's going on in the dark corners of the world? There are so many atrocities going on right now, and especially with our children, and all the human trafficking that's going on. And this is, you're seeing it, but you have a blind eye to it. That's because Satan doesn't want you to see what he's up to. And he's preparing the world for his man, the Antichrist. And he's coming on the scene very shortly. I go back, a long time. And 40 years ago, I started saying that I would see in my lifetime the Antichrist come on the scene, and that I would see the tribulation come in. I would see the rapture take place. I would see all this, and believe it or not, the Lord has allowed me to see the development of it right now, and it might still happen in my lifetime. And I don't think I've got many years left. So I'm going to give you a warning today. You got to be prepared. Don't listen to all this malarkey about this virus and what the world is trying to do. They've created it. Satan, it's all his big plan. But God knows what's going on, and He's got a plan. And I read the end of the book, and I'm going to tell you something. God wins. So don't get on the wrong side. Everybody needs salvation. They need the Lord. And I'm not talking just about physical death. I'm talking about spiritual death. And spiritual death is this: the absence of God. You won't be in the presence of God for all eternity. That's hell. That's hell. And there's going to be just the opposite of what heaven is what hell is. Heaven is a beautiful place. No death, no sickness, no dying. Everything's going to be perfect. But in hell, everything's going to be the opposite. Torment, gnashing of teeth, cast into the lake of fire that the flames never go out, and you'll be in torment forever and ever. And that is the truth. That is what the world does not want you to know. Well, I'm going to end my podcast here. I know it's a kind of a sad note to end on, but there is an answer, and it's found in the Bible, and people have to get into the Bible and read it. And I would recommend reading the Gospel of John, and I tell you, John presents the gospel in a clear way. I know I found the Lord in chapter 3, the conversation he had with Nicodemus. You have to be born again. And Nicodemus was a man of God, religion I should say, and he thought he had the answers, but he didn't. God had to give him the answers. And I think Nicodemus found them. And so can you. With that said, I'm going to end my podcast. Have a good day, and I'll talk with you next time.